Hello, this is Optimum Health For All. I'm your host, OJ Odia.
Optimum Health for all, for all, for all. We're building up strong so we never fall. Mindset, power, we're standing tall. It's Optimum Health, yeah, it's for all.
Today we're going to talk about Lassa fever. Lassa fever is a communicable disease that is a disease that is transmitted from one person to the other, and it's endemic in Nigeria. And we would like to talk about Lassa fever so that we'll know more about it. What is the pattern of the disease? What's the origin of this disease? How is this spread? And what can we do to prevent it or avoid contracting Lassa fever? Today we have an expert on diseases, communicable diseases, and epidemiology, which is a fancy name for disease pattern and so on. She's an expert in community medicine. I introduce to you Professor Omosivie Maduka. Professor Maduka here. Welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here. And
Thank
Happy
you for
New Year.
coming. Happy New Year. So thank you for coming. So we want to start, as it were, with asking you to tell us what indeed is Lassa fever.
Okay, so just like you had started to introduce it quite well, Lassa fever is, well, the fancy term is viral hemorrhagic fever. Simply put, it's caused by a virus, typically called the Lassa virus. That's the name given to the virus. So a virus is a germ. So it's caused by a virus, and the most important way it manifests is bleeding from virtually every part of the body,
So the disease
both internally and externally.
was manifested with bleeding.
Yes.
Okay.
So hemorrhage, bleeding. That's why it's called a viral hemorrhagic fever. It's not the only type of disease that manifests
With bleeding.
with bleeding.
It's one of
But
those.
it's one of those, and it's actually quite endemic in the West African region. You have a lot of cases that occur from time to time, year in, year out. I'm sure we'll talk about.
Yes. So, what is the origin of this disease? How did it get its name? Lassa fever.
It's an interesting story. In 1969, it was found that a community, a village in Borno State called Lassa. I hope I'm getting the pronunciation, Lassa. In Borno State, the people from that community were found to have what was termed a strange illness, where people were coming down with high temperatures and ultimately bleeding, and many of them ended up dying. Investigating that disease was what made scientists and researchers at that time come up with the identification of a virus. And so the virus was named after the village in which it was first discovered. I must say that that's an unfortunate use of scientific discovery, because these days we want to discourage the stigmatization that comes to any village, any community, or any individual when you tag a disease, generally a disease of the magnitude of Lassa. You tag it to a particular community. Because I'm sure they would have, I'm told they protested, I'm told they wrote all the way to WHO, but then, it's still being called Lassa, so.
It's actually named Lassa fever by WHO. Okay, so let's talk about the disease itself. How is it? How do we recognize it? You mentioned some of the features before.
Yeah.
So somebody comes, let's say, comes down with it and goes to a doctor. What are these peculiar features
Okay.
that we'll look at?
So we use what is called a case definition, which means that if you see a combination of these signs and symptoms, your mind should automatically go to the possibility of a viral hemorrhagic fever like Lassa. So if fever, and bleeding from any part of the body is enough to have your suspicion up that I'm maybe dealing with a viral hemorrhagic fever, and that viral hemorrhagic fever may be Lassa. Like we said, there are others. There's dengue, there's so-called the dreaded Ebola of 2014 that came into Nigeria. And then there are other viral hemorrhagic fevers as well.
Yellow fever.
Yes, so dengue fever, yellow fever, even mpox, which we may have the opportunity to talk about later, and then Lassa are the common ones.
These are the common.
There's also chikungunya. There's some other
All sorts of viruses.
and viruses that cause.
Okay, so we're now concentrating on Lassa. How does it spread? How does it move from one person to the other? I understand that the early doctors who went to Lassa village, some of them contracted Lassa fever and died from it.
Yes.
So, what is the mode of transmission?
So there are two ways the Lassa fever can be transmitted. There is the animal to man pathway, which we call a zoonosis, when something is zoo for animals, transmitted from animals to man. And the animal that is being implicated, we call that animal a vector that actually carries the virus, is the multi-mammate rat. Now, there are many different kinds of rats, but this particular one is a big rat and has multiple breasts under it on both sides. So that's called the multi-mammate rat. And that particular rat has been the only animal for now that has been mostly identified as transmitted, as being a vector. Yes, virus. Yes, so what happens with the multi-mammate rat is that it frequents homes, but is also quite versatile in the bush. So that movement, and of course, what happens is when the temperatures are hot, it's dry season, the rat is not comfortable anymore outdoors and seeks to get rest, seeks to get food, and then finds its way
into the houses.
Yes, so that multi-mammate rat that is infected with the virus may leave feces, droppings around the house, urinate around the house, inside food, because of course it's going to go for food.
Yes.
So food items that have been exposed and contaminated with the feces and urine of this rat, when ingested,
without proper cooking.
Yes, without proper cooking at very high temperatures and proper hygienic preparation of foods, people get infected. So that's the number one way from the rat to animal to man. The second one is now from man to man. So a human being that has been infected can very easily transmit that infection to another human being through anything that comes out from the body: blood, urine, any effluent from the body, anything that is produced by the body, even direct contact, touching, coming into direct contact, or even surfaces that body products have touched, and then somebody else is coming to interact with those surfaces. That is the reason why doctors that went to treat very easily got infected and then started infecting other people. The man-to-man transmission is quite worrisome, because once the animal-to-man transmission has happened, usually the man-to-man transmission is what takes it further and what propagates the infection, and actually even brings it to an epidemic level. Yes.
Okay.
Which is a normal occurrence of cases. Normally, if you have cases of a disease occurring in the numbers that have been expected over time through active review of how these diseases occur, it's endemic. But if it now occurs in a higher proportion than what is expected, what is normal, what is usual, then it is epidemic. And Lassa fever usually moves from an endemic disease to an epidemic disease at certain periods of time in the year. Spikes. Yeah, so it's just a spike of cases, especially in the dry season. So by the time you start getting to October, November, into February, March.
So this
is the long we are. Yes, so currently in the dry season this is the time to
public awareness.
That is the reason why we're doing this.
Okay, very good. So, Lassa fever is there transmitted from animal, like the multi-mammate rats,
Yes.
to man,
Yeah.
through secretions and so on, and then can also transmit from man to man, and it can from an endemic disease to an epidemic population.
Yes, please.
So it's a very dangerous disease,
It's very dangerous disease.
and people die easily.
Yes, so the death rate is really high. So for anyone who is infected and actually comes down with signs and symptoms, which are fever, weakness. So to start with fever, you can't really understand. You think is this malaria? You start to treat. Then the weakness, there's some tiredness. Then you start having bleeding. Some other symptoms can occur. The one that is most concerning is bleeding. And within a period of 0 to 14 days, usually between 2 to 7 days, those symptoms can manifest. And they can deteriorate quite rapidly. And a good number of people who contact Lassa may end up dying. The mortality rate is quite high.
So mortality rate is very high.
It's quite high.
Is it mean treatment for this Lassa fever?
That's the good thing. So we have treatment for Lassa fever, and that treatment can be given 2 dimensions. There's a treatment that is given for presumptive treatment by way of precaution and prevention.
Let's say people, health workers who can
Exactly. So health workers come in contact with somebody who is suspected to or confirmed to have Lassa fever. They haven't started showing signs and symptoms, but we start the treatment. It's the same treatment that is now given to people who come in contact with Lassa fever, just like the dosage will be quite different. So yes, there is treatment, and that's a good thing, because if treatment is started early, there is a high likelihood of a cure.
So there could be a cure if treatment is started early.
Treatment is
Which
started
means those with pictures of Lassa should report early to hospital.
as early as
They should just go to
possible
hospital. So that once it is recognized, the machinery is put in motion.
Exactly.
Now, diagnosis is made just by this, or there the special lab test.
Yes, so there's a lab test. Blood samples are collected and sent for a special test. We call it, for lack of not try to say the full name, PCR. So we want to find out if we can identify the virus itself. And so those tests are available.
In every laboratory?
No. So it's a specialized test. So you have specialized viral biology laboratories across the country, and I'm sure outside of the country that can provide.
There's one in England.
There's one in Edo State. There's one in Lagos. There's one in Abuja. I'm quite certain about those things.
Okay, and there are others. Well, yeah. So diagnosis can be made. That means the specimen can be flown to this place.
Yes, exactly.
Diagnosis confirmed.
Exactly.
And then treatment will start.
Treatment usually starts before you get the result. Based on a suspicion, you can start treatment. When you get the result, you know whether to continue your treatment or whether to de-escalate.
So, how can we prevent contracting Lassa fever?
Very important. Very, very important. 1, rat-proof your house.
How do we do that?
So
I can sneak into your house, throw up any crevice, any hole.
Not necessarily. Rats do not. It actually depends on the structure and how the houses are built. If you don't leave your doors open, and if you set up the kind of doors that do not leave space
under
or by the side.
Yeah.
Wooden doors are notorious for leaving spaces under and by the side. The doors will shrink, and then there will be space, and you'll be surprised the kind of small space that a big rat can pass through, can literally almost flatten its body and pass through. So if you can, ensure that you have secured your doors and windows in such a way that it's difficult for rats to have access. Now, you can also de-rat your house or your living spaces which is by using rat traps and rat poisons and rat gums around the house. There are special poisons and chemicals that are used, are put in around the house, that the rat will eat it, run out, and die. Or die in plain sight, not die. So die. So this season, it may be a good idea to apply some of those things and derat your house. Now, if you see rats that have died in your house, do not touch them with your bare hands.
Okay.
Do not touch it. Wear a pair of gloves. If you cannot get gloves, put waterproof, tie it firmly around your hand, and use something else, like and dust packer, whatever, to pack it. Try not to get into contact with those rats, because in trying to dispose of rats, you may get yourself into
the secretions.
Exactly. And this is for all rats, because the multi-mammoth rat, you can't be turning it over to
say, well, is it
what type of rat? Anything that is rat.
Well, it's rats, and it's dangerous.
Exactly.
So
Then it's very important to store food items in rat-proof containers.
Like plastics
that have a very good cover, tight seal around it. This is helpful for rats and a lot of other vermin that can get in contact. Exactly. So your beans, your gari, your rice, you put it in containers. Gari, especially gari. Because gari, what you drink it.
Yeah.
Many people drink gari, they will not
boil it
first or boil it. Like rice or beans that you must boil at very high temperatures for you to eat it. So let's be careful about that. Now, if somebody around you has fever and starts to show any signs of bleeding, you need to quickly help the person get to the hospital without making direct contact with the person.
Yeah.
You need to try not to make direct contact with the person. If it's in the home, the person has in a room or a part of the house to him or herself, you can arrange for transportation to get to the place. The person can be safely transported in vehicles, in your car and in public transport. Once you get to the place, especially if you get to the place that they know what to do, they will help you to decontaminate the place. Using chemicals to kill whatever virus.
We will come and decontaminate.
They will come and decontaminate your house.
Okay. So those are the tests I want to do.
Yes.
Are there any other advice we'll give this season?
So this is the season. So as much as possible, be careful about your exposure to rats. I guess that's really the best that can happen. And then of course reports vary in if you're feeling that you may have had contact with rats, or you feel that you may have had contact with somebody who may be infected with Lassa, please report. Even if you don't know what's happened, it's just it's better to have your concerns allayed. So no, it's nothing. Than to stay home until it is
Thank you, Prof. I think we are happy that you are here. Thank you very much for letting us about Lassa fever.
Very happy to be here, sir.
Thank you. So, we've had the episode for today. We talked about Lassa fever. I'm sure this is the time to actually learn more about Lassa fever, because this is actually the dry season where the multi-mammoth rats visit the homes far more often than in other seasons. Thank you very much for watching, viewers. Do subscribe. It's Optimum Health For All. Thank you. Bye for now.
Optimum Health For All, for all, for all, for all. We're building up strong so we never fall. Mindset, power, we're standing tall. It's Optimum Health, yeah, it's for all. Knowledge is wealth, so we pass it on quick. From the food to the mood, we be flipping the script. From gut to brain, everything aligned. When you live that good life, it's a powerful sign. Balance is the mission, got the vision on deck. Cut the stress, no mess, keep the wellness in check. We thrive, we shine with every routine. Optimum Health, you know what I mean. Optimum Health For All.